Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique real estate firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing consultants who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my real estate team member, Mary Baker, and I, along with the director of Boston Connect Real Estate, Melissa Wallace, provide you with our unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We like to mix it up sometimes, so not only will you hear our perspective on real estate topics, but you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of some of our real estate agents at Boston Connect Real Estate and the preferred professionals that we trust. Be part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We'd love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team or one of the dedicated agents at Boston Connect Real Estate to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with us at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all my South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. My name is Melissa Wallace, and I was just going to say we're live in our studio, but we're not in our studio.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. We are back at WATD in Marshfield. It's like so weird.
I feel so comfortable here. Can you tell?
Yeah.
I'm just like
we literally just walked
back,
through the door
relaxing.
like, oh yeah, we're showing our guest. I won't say her name just yet. Showing our guest around. Oh yeah, this is, we used to come in here all the time for many years.
There's a beautiful Boston Connect sign hanging out behind
there
us.
There is. I know. I think Sharon. Oh no! Remember when we came for the open house here?
Yeah.
Maybe in the end of summer or something. I don't even know when it was. We brought Julia, and we were like, oh my gosh, they still have the Boston Connect sign up, even though
It's like a family.
Yeah, we are family. We're back.
We're back to our roots.
We're back to our roots. Yeah. One of our agents, Emmy Flaherty, who has been on the show before.
Yep.
Literally, she had joined our office, and 2 days later, she's sitting on our show with us. But she is doing an event at the office. What is it? The making the blanket thing?
So it's like a hand knit quilting blanket yarn thing. It's really fun. It looks really cool. It's like those warm, cozy. I don't know. I don't even know what to call them. But I wanted to hang out with her, kind of.
Yeah,
I chose you guys.
Oh well. Thanks.
I'm just saying.
She's like sitting there like, I have things to say, but I was told I can't speak.
So much to say.
So many words. Okay, I will introduce you. But our guest tonight has joined our show in the past, and she is a avid listener, a very dedicated listener. I would say that you're the number one listener, but my mom is definitely taking the top notch there.
Number one
as
fan.
She should. So our number 2 fan tonight is joining us, Jazmine Glasgow.
Oh, you're so
I know.
We practiced.
No, Glasgow.
There it is.
Glasgow.
Jazmine Glasgow. Yes, that's me. Hi. Thanks for having me on again.
Okay, but in all fairness, you got married and your last name changed, and I'm not taking ownership for that.
No, it's on me. You knew me for many years as Mendez, and I went and flipped the script, and there was a lot of debate about that, too. And here we are, Jazmine Glasgow now.
Yeah. And Jasmine, you have some exciting news.
Yes, Jasmine's going to share the first secret of the night.
It is official. We are publicly announcing, but Colin Brennan and I are co-owners of Maritime Mortgage Corp. Yay! So it's been over a year now, but it's been kind of secret. So you guys are hearing it probably first, besides my family. So yes, broker, co-owner of Maritime Mortgage. Jazmine Glasgow.
Glasgow, and you have the Maritime team.
Team Maritime.
Team Maritime.
We're big on that, through and through. So we've got George Post, Phil Gomes, Eli De Jesus, Colin
I
Brennan,
love all your guys. I really do.
They're so great. And then everyone else in the back end support. I've got a little bit of nepotism with my sister.
I was going to say, we have Nina keeping the back office in check.
I got a shout out to Crystal and Chelsea too. Kim, they're awesome. And the whole team is really just full full service on just making sure we're taking care of people and families first.
Absolutely. I feel like I was just going to say family. I know everybody by name, but I haven't met everybody in person. I was like, we should have like a family dinner.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to have a client appreciation. Ooh, that's another secret I'm letting slip. We're going to have a client appreciation.
We're full of secrets tonight.
Oh, I know.
I have to think of one.
Yes. So all big things happening.
I love that.
A lot of
very exciting for you too, to be announcing.
Yes, yeah, it's been a long time. We didn't want to kind of announce it until we lost some weight and could take some photos, and that's just never going to be a time that we're going to feel comfortable. So we're going to do it on the radio. There's no judgment. Besides
Why not?
A little bit of Facebook Live.
Why not? Go for it.
Yeah. So I honestly thought that you were already the owner. Is this like I didn't know that you weren't.
It's been a little bit, and I'm really excited to announce this. But Melissa, I'm not the only one with a secret here.
We're gonna get into that.
We'll get into somebody else's secret here.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of goes along with our topic. So Jazmine, you're joining us. We're going to be talking about credit scores and mortgages. And credit scores, I feel like it's a trigger word, or like your credit score. Oh my gosh, what does it say about you? And it actually really says a lot, and it really, really matters. And I think people are super intimidated, especially if you're working towards repairing your credit score.
Yes.
And I know you know this for me firsthand, right? So
I'm not going to say it if you're
no,
not
100%.
Yes.
I'm an open book. So I had some issues with my credit back in 2019 or 2018 when Sam and I were looking to purchase our first home. And when I say issues, it wasn't terrible, but it could have been a lot better. And by being a lot better also opens up a lot more product from a mortgage standpoint, or
Absolutely.
better products, so to speak. And I had sat down with you. I remember sitting in your office, and we kind of went through my credit report line by line, and we made a plan on how to improve it and repair it.
Yes.
And it can be an intimate conversation to have.
Oh, there's so much judgment tied up, and it's usually self-judgment. Usually, when I'm sitting
I
there,
like that you just said that, because you're like harder on yourself than you are.
Everybody always is. I've never sat there with someone and been like, "Ooh, look at this 520. What a terrible human you are." I'm like, tell me what happened.
Yeah,
Let's
how did
walk
we get
through
here?
This.
Yeah.
What
did
is
we get
going
to this
on?
situation? Yeah.
And a lot of times it's a few things on your credit, and they're having a giant impact.
Yep.
And you don't realize it until it's coming at you snowball. And you're not applying or looking for your credit most of the times until you're in the middle of an application, right? And it's right there in front of you. And this is the barrier between you getting that loan, you making that next big step, and you not. And so I'm never sitting there and wondering, how you are as a human. I'm sitting there wondering how I can help you. But you are going most of the time, and most people are going, oh my gosh, they're seeing my score, they're seeing my past history.
This is so embarrassing.
So
like I can't believe that like you're seeing this about me, or like you're trying to make justifications as to like, oh, why this happened.
So
but what I loved about sitting down with you was kind of like literally we're going through it line by line, and I felt confident after our meeting that we had a plan together, and we had created a plan to get me into a better situation. And
right. And it's not like there's no work, right?
No, we sat down almost a year before. A year, maybe 6 months before I bought.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is lining up. I'm going to say absolutely a lot because I'm excited when I do that. I
She's
do
just
that.
agreeing with us all night.
Shut me
I do
up,
too.
all right? But, you have, if you have time beforehand, I'm just going to jump right into some credit tips because this is what we did and this is what we will do. We're going to first take a look at your credit, and that is the number one key. And now annualcreditreport.com used to give you one free credit report a year from each of the bureaus. And I tell everybody, don't just go to Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion and just get all three at the same time. Take one from each and do them maybe every 4 months and grab one. Well, from now until the end of the year, all three credit agencies are giving you access to your credit once a week. And so now you don't have to just wait and monitor. There's so much fraud going on. There's such a lack of transparency between what's happening with the credit bureaus and all the creditors that the CFPB, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, has pretty much said you need to create way more transparency. And one of the ways they're doing it is through this year is you can check your credit report once a week. So do it.
So like your full credit report. So you're not talking about like Credit Karma, because I know
No.
I'm the one who harps on that, and it's kind of like a fun game that Sam and I play, which when we're not trying to purchase something isn't a bad thing.
Right.
But when you're talking about your credit report, you're talking of actually going
The Vantage 3.0 credit score model. Now, there's over 2,000 credit models, and that's the thing is when you apply for a mortgage, you apply for an auto loan, you apply for a personal loan, and you look at your Credit Karma or a similar credit score, they're going to be different because they're using different models. And so this Vantage 3.0 is what we use from a mortgage standpoint. And you're going to see the full list of credit report of anything that's reporting your credit report, typically between 7 and 10 years in age, depending on the credit agency. And you're going to be able to tell what is happening. And they're even added Experian did the best job at this, but what's changed each week. I think they update it every month, but you'll see it there each week, and it says, I have got this much more utilization. I've got X, Y, and Z. So it's not just a matter of what you're seeing as like a profile. You can actually harp in and be like, oh, that's new, and you can highlight it and try to fix it if something's wrong.
and you're like, okay, what's good? So seeing a trend, like what's going on here, I'm looking at my credit score.
Good. You should be doing it weekly. It's free this year. Annualcreditreport.com. Now, I will advise you, do not just Google it and take any
Don't be giving your
agency.
information.
No. Look on the bottom to make sure that link you're clicking is the actual annualcreditreport.com, and that it is not sponsored. You want to make sure you're actually seeing it from their website, because fraud is up. It's super high.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure you're looking at your credit so you know what to monitor. And also keep in mind, they've made some big changes to medical collections, which have been one of the biggest impacts. They cleared up almost 70% of medical collections off of credit last year.
Oh, yeah. I think I got an email or something that was like...
From me.
Was it from you?
Yes.
Yeah. If you have like under a certain amount of...
$500 or less, it won't report.
Oh, well, there you go.
Look at you paying attention, girl.
I did get an email from you.
And if you have paid the collection, they're no longer reporting it. So you'd go through this, you'd find out that a doctor's office had a bill that was outstanding, and you didn't know anything about it, and then you pay it, and then it's on your credit for several years, bringing your score down.
Interesting.
And they realize that's not fair.
Yeah.
Most of the time, medical billing is one of the biggest complaints. And last year, from October of 21 till September of 22, the CFPB received 488,000 complaints about Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now, there are 6 credit agencies, but those are the 3 big guys. And they were complaints about transparency, but also complaints about how difficult it was to repair your credit and about the things that were causing your credit score to come down. And so they made some immediate changes, and they're going to continue making changes. They also made it way more expensive on credit reporting. Almost all consumer credit reports went up to almost $68 across the board. Yes, big. And they're paying off those fines, that Experian data breach. The payments started going out this month. So there's a lot happening on that front for changes. So watching your credit is step 1. You need to know what's on your report.
You can't be scared of it.
You can't.
You can't run away from it or hide from it. You got to...
It's not a reflection on you.
Nope.
It's a reflection on your past payment history. And sometimes it's not even accurate. So the next thing is know what's on there and dispute it if it's not correct. Now, you can dispute something if it's inaccurate on your credit agency, or you can also request more information all online in the individual website, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. But if you are going to dispute, I also suggest sending a certified letter with the dispute. And if you need a form, you can email me at team@maritimeloan.com. I can send you a dispute template letter. I'll put a link on your you guys can post it on your page and stuff like that too. But you send it mail, and they have 30 days to respond. It's part of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is also due to these consumer complaints coming up for changes later this year. We don't know what those are yet, but there's rules that kind of surround this to protect you. I'm talking really fast. I'm throwing things out. I know we're only 45 minutes.
I'm like intently looking at you, and I'm going, interesting. I'm like, you're really passionate about this. And I remember this from literally our first conversation. You can very much feel, and I think we did have to actually dispute something. We talked about it. It was literally, I'll tell people what it was. It was a limited credit card. So remember, like The Limited, the store The Limited, they went out of business. And then I couldn't pay for some reason, and it was only like 30 days late.
They weren't accepting your payment.
They weren't taking the
Sounds
payment.
like The Limited's problem. They didn't want your
like,
money.
I'm trying to pay you, but they made it very difficult to pay once they had closed.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I supposed to do with this? But it really knocked my credit.
No one was there to take your payment.
It knocked my credit pretty significantly.
Yeah.
At the time when we had to dispute it.
For wearing so much Chanel.
I mean, it was when I was getting into real estate, so I kind of like
all those fuzzy
all those
clothes.
business.
Like, let me open up a credit
casual.
card and get all this business casual attire.
Yes.
But those store credit cards, so we'll get into this a little bit later. We talked about it off air. The store credit cards are kind of like the sneaky.
No, let's talk about it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
talk
talk
about
about
it
it. Yeah.
Well, do we want to give out the number in case?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me get a word in here, please. If you want to join in on the discussion or you have any questions for Jasmine or myself and Mary, Sharon is actually, I think she's listening. So hi, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
She did not join us tonight, but it's us. It's the three amigos. 781-837-4900 is the number to the studio. George is here. Hi, I'm waving at George.
Yeah, that's George.
Hey, I'm in studio.
Hey, we're in studio too. We're all here. We're all here. We are live on Facebook too. So if you follow Boston Connect Real Estate on Facebook or McNamara Broker Team, Maritime Mortgage, on any of us, we're there.
We're all
you
there.
can see us. You can see us live at WATD. But yeah, what I had said before we went on air was. So when I was in high school, I worked at TJ Maxx. It was like one of my first jobs, and I would work there in the summers and school breaks and stuff. But one of the things that I had to do as a teenager is convince people to open up a rewards credit card. And I literally said to you guys before, I'm like, I had no business asking anybody to open up anything. And I recently, in the past couple months, have been noticing when I get asked, oh, do you want to open up a Kohl's charge? Do you want to open up this? You could save $5.13. I'm like, seriously? Somebody, like, why would I open it up to save $5 today?
Mm-hmm. I ask them if they want to join a cult when they do it. I'll just pick a cult, and then they'll ask me. I'll say, I'm so glad you asked me. I was actually wondering if you would like to join me in XYZ cult.
And then they're like, security.
Then they check me right out.
They're like, oh, okay.
They're just like, no. But I had no business, and partially because I didn't know anything about credit. I mean, I was in high school. I didn't care. I in my head, I'm like, I have my whole life ahead of me. I don't know anything about credit. I didn't know that, a 29% interest rate was big. I'm like,
great.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Less than 50.
29, that sounds like a great number.
So,
I just didn't. I didn't.
They're a problem.
Yeah. So, when I get asked now, I'm like, no. Like, do you know what your credit score is? Do you know what happens when you don't pay this bill on time? Do you know what this is?
Yeah, and you know what?
It's like read the fine print.
Yeah, it's 80 pages long.
Yeah, usually. And the holidays is the worst time for it because people are just like, I'm spending this money anyways. Let me save 10% on my $2,000. And you're thinking instantly it's going to be a good idea. Now, good credit management, I'm not saying that store cards are bad across the board. If you're establishing credit, if you might not get approved for a standard credit card, there's some advantages. My very first card was a Macy's card that I got at Christmas time because it was a do or die for Christmas presents for me. First year in college, and I was so lucky that I learned about credit early from watching other people fail, and I managed it really, really well. But I took out a crazy, I think they gave me like $15,000, and I didn't even have a job at the time. Like I was just entering college.
Oh wow!
And so I'm not completely against them, but that initial savings almost never makes up for just 1 month of interest on it. And if you don't need to put something on credit, and you don't feel like you've got the time and the responsibility level to manage it, don't do it. Yeah. And also keep in mind the factors that make up a credit score are 35% payment history, right? So how well are you paying your bills on time? 30% the amount, so your utilization. 10% the mix, so a type of loans you have. So do you have a revolving account and student loans and car loans, etc.? 10% is new credit that you have, so it brings you down that 10% mark, or it could. And then 15% is the length of credit usage. So you're kind of hitting 25% of what makes up your credit score when you open up a new account.
Okay.
And so there are great ways that you can manage this, and there are great ways you can use credit to get things like rewards. But you have to make sure you're on top of it, because typically the highest rewards rating might be 3% generally on the card, and maybe 6% for little categories. And so if you're strategic and your groceries go on the card that gets you 6%, you get that back. Your Amazon goes on your Amazon card, and you get extra rewards for that, and you get that money back for Amazon, and you pay it in full monthly. That can be a great way to get points. We charged our entire wedding on credit card, anything that would accept it, and we paid it off cash every single month, and it paid for our honeymoon. So there's strategies there, and there's some really good utilization. But if you miss one payment, you're now hitting that 35% bucket that compiles your credit score. And you have all these new hits and all these new cards. The more you have, the more likely you are to be late on a payment. And what I tell everybody, it doesn't matter if you plan to pay it off in full, set up an automatic payment for the minimum balance.
Absolutely.
Regardless. Put it in your calendar 3 days before it's due. Put it in your calendar the day before it's due, and put it in your calendar the day it's due. Know what's coming out of your account, and make sure you're aligning that with your budget. Make sure if you can select your payment dates, you move them all to the same day, so you're managing it. Whatever is going to help you be the most proficient at paying, you need to handle, because that can be the difference between getting a 5.25 interest rate and a 7.5% interest rate.
Which is huge swing.
And I got to give you a quick side note story about credit and credit repair here, because there are some companies I absolutely love. But there are some really predatory companies too. One of my colleagues, Phil Gomes, had been working with a client who needed some credit repair because their credit score was not reporting. And we tried to coach them to how to get it on. And they just were like, I just can't handle it. I'm going to go to this credit report repair company that their agent had sent them. And this agent had no idea what was happening with it. They did really good work. They got the credit score reporting. Fantastic. But they told them they would only help them with their credit repair if they did the mortgage. Phil wished them the best and said, no, I totally get it. You're with them. That's fine. The deal fell apart last Thursday. Denial, from this company. It was 7.125% interest rate.
Wow.
We got their exact terms. Phil matched at 5.375, term for term. Exact same thing. And I did some more research. I talked to a couple of my title agencies, and they looked them up, and they said, yeah, they're gouging people. They are known to be predators, and they put people in these high cost mortgages
because they feel like they have no other option,
and they back them into corners. And so I had no idea that this was happening. I didn't even know that this was a thing, and this just happened last week. And I've reported them to the CFPB. Like, they're clearly a predatory company, but how do you know when you're desperate?
Yeah.
How do you know the difference between a helping hand and a predator? And that's how people get taken advantage of.
Yeah, because you feel like you have no other option then, all right, I have to figure out some type of way to repair my credit.
Yep.
I don't have, like you said, I don't have the time, I don't have the patience, because it can be a frustrating process to try and deal with these credit agencies. So they're like, okay, well, they're saying, if you do this with me, I'll help you out on the loan side. And then you feel as if you have,
then they deliver on the credit repair by doing simple things too, but you don't see that. And you're like, they're delivering.
Yeah.
Of course they're here to help me.
Yeah.
You have to be careful. Make sure that you know it's someone who's verified, someone that you trust.
Were they working with a realtor?
The realtor had just heard about them and just passed them along.
No.
Yeah. And it was a weird situation to begin with.
Yeah.
But we would have had no idea. We would have had no idea if the deal didn't fall apart. And thank goodness it did. We're still going to close on time. And they're going to save hundreds of dollars a month.
Wow.
Hundreds of dollars.
And especially where I just that makes me sick. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it, and I'm like, especially where they've worked so hard at that point to repair their credit, then to be putting them in a mortgage that's potentially, like you said, hundreds of dollars more, and might not be the most affordable thing for them.
No,
right?
And
And you're just putting them in another bad situation to potentially damage their credit even further.
We made it work by doing what was right. Giving them the market interest rate, not price gouging. They qualified the whole time. It was greed. So you need to be careful about the credit repair agencies. Now, if you don't have a score reporting, right? Oh, that happens to a lot of people. They use cash, and then they go to buy, and they go, oh no,
Yeah.
I've used cash.
Yep.
There's several things you can do. Experian Boost is one of them. I'm mixed on this, and now you can report your rent and you can report utilities that are well paid, but if there's a reporting issue on a utility, that's going to come over. And so if you are not good at paying your National Grid bill every month and then it comes over, that's not helping your credit, right? You might get a score, but it might not be great. And then oftentimes if they code it incorrectly and we don't see that it's self-reported, that could go against your liabilities for qualifying. So we know to back it out, and I can get evidence for it and I can back it out. We don't have to count the things that you report, only things that are reported by third parties. So we can get you back on track, but I'm a little mixed on that. But if you need a score, that helps. You can add yourself to an authorized user as an authorized user.
We have a question about this.
Yes.
The authorized user. I believe Sharon had talked to you before about this. So her question was, if you are an authorized user on somebody else's credit card, you're not the primary person using the credit card, but you are an authorized user, say it's, a parent, if they don't pay their credit card bill on time,
it impacts your credit.
Does it impact your credit?
It does.
It does.
So
I'm so surprised.
Well, you're taking on the responsibility, guys.
But I think so. It actually kind of makes sense. So that's one thing that I think I heard of, right? And I very early on, it was like, okay, if you have good credit, so me as a parent, if I was a parent and I was trying to establish credit for my child, I could and I had a good payment history, I could put them on my credit card as an authorized user, which would help boost their credit. So if I was a bad credit user or had poor management skills, why wouldn't it serve to do the opposite thing? So if it can boost you up, why can't it boost you down?
Exactly.
So it makes perfect sense when I think about it.
Part 2 of that statement, you can add yourself on as an authorized user, is you need to make sure that account, you verify that account. You ask them to pull up their credit report, and you have to have that closeness with someone you're going to be on that with. Don't just let anyone add you, right? But you want to make sure that you can confirm the payment history on it, and that you can confirm the start date and the available balance. Because
nobody can add you without your knowledge, right?
There are actually some credit agencies that don't require much personal information, but it's the same way you could get deeded on someone's property. It's not very likely. Right, Herman deeded me on the house without me knowing it. I was like, "Oh, thanks."
Thanks
for having a house.
I think.
But you have to make sure that you're assuming a good debt, because if they've got an account that's been opened for 15 years with a low balance and great payment history, that's going to be fantastic for you. But if they're running 6 months late on their mortgage, and then they haven't paid any of their other accounts, and you're on all of those now, what is that going to do for you, right? It's showing a new history, but it's a quick way to get at it. A couple other things is you can start a credit, oh my goodness, what do they call it? A credit builder loan through some credit unions. They have those, and they'll report them like installment loans, and they're usually very short, 24 months, and they give you $2,000, and they'll put it into a savings account, and then use that savings account to make the payment. Same thing with a secure credit card. The limit, you give $300, they give you a $300 limit, and you make the payments on it, and if you don't make a payment, they use the money you gave them to pay it off, and they close it. So you have to be really on top of it. And when I've got someone who has no credit, they're just trying to build it, I say, we're going to set this up from new, right? You can't get an authorized user. You just need to have some sort of established credit. You're going to open up a secure credit card, or even a regular credit card if you can, and you can feel you can manage it. You're going to put on 1 or 2 things that can come in monthly that are small. So you have a $300 limit. You put your $12. I don't even know how much Netflix is anymore. It's part of T-Mobile.
It's like
$80 or something now.
Whatever.
No,
you put your $20. You put your $20 Netflix on there that comes out on the 1st, and you set up an automatic payment in full for the 2nd. Now you've got a credit card that's running a balance, and it's even better if you can figure out when they report, and you can kind of work around that. So they report your payment kind of with a balance on there. But you're getting activity every month, and you're paying it off in full every month. You're keeping the balance low, and it's set it and forget it. You're already paying for it. It's already attached to a card, and now you're building your credit. No, I've just rambled at you for a little bit, and I've got 4 more pages of notes.
Oh my gosh! Well, we only have about 20 more minutes.
Well, but that's a good point. So, as someone who I was very scared of credit, right? So there were other things in my history that again, I was probably very ashamed of, but they really didn't have to do with me. It had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And somebody had utilized my credit very early on when I was 18, when I had no idea what I was supposed to be looking for.
Right.
And it kind of put me in a pretty terrible situation, if I'm being completely honest. And I was absolutely terrified of opening any type of credit card. And I don't think that I did until I sat with you. And we kind of went over anything. And I started really, really small. And it was literally a gas card.
Yeah.
So it was, I think it was an American Express, but it was, and being
And
in
we
real
set
estate.
up automatic payments for it.
Being in real estate, I started with my gas card, and we're always in the car, and it was just set it and forget it. And now, again, so that was probably like 2018. In 2023, literally everything that I do is on credit cards, and it's just automatic. It's become second nature.
Yeah. And you're collecting points, and it's beautiful, and you now know how to manage credit.
Yeah.
But before, it was out of control. And when you're feeling out of control with pretty much any aspect in life, putting a reality to the thing that makes you feel out of control grounds you. So if you are feeling super anxious about your credit, and you haven't seen it in a long time, and you don't even want to look, looking will ground you. It will create you a baseline. I don't care if you look and it's 300. It's better than not knowing. Now the range is 300 to 850. I've seen one 300 credit score in my life, and just one. And it was pretty well earned. It was pretty well earned. And
Were they going for a mortgage?
and they were going for a mortgage, and they literally said, "Screw them. I don't really care about these credit companies."
Yeah,
it's like
going to
be great.
Stick it to the man.
Give you any
Exactly.
money to buy a house.
But within 2 years, they were up to 620.
Wow.
And way more use. You know,
Yeah, you just can't
After having
you
a
can't run away
conversation with
from it.
you?
we went through that, and we went through a credit repair company because I am not a professional credit repair person. I'll just say that live. I've seen enough credit reports in my day. I've helped and coached so many people through it just by looking at the report and knowing and using the tools I have on hand.
Yeah.
But there is a limit where I'm like, this is beyond my pay grade.
Yeah,
and
you got to know
when
when to tap out too.
Yeah,
And be
you
like,
need to
okay,
know
we
how to-
need
when to hold
professional
them.
help.
Yeah.
when to fold them. and when to
Also,
walk
when
away.
somebody comes to you and wants to have a conversation with you, it's not just about the credit scores for a mortgage. There are other factors that go into that, correct?
Oh, absolutely. The full picture, your full financial picture is really important to me. I am not someone who believes that you can just have like one facet of it done. Like you can't just get the mortgage. Like I want to know, what are your goals? What are you looking to do? What does this house mean to you? What is this going to change in your family dynamic? How are you going to manage this payment and also those crazy things like food, right? Like we know that the consumer price index is up almost 8% year over year.
Wow.
We know that consumer debt in the Northeast is up almost 10%, 9.92% year over year from quarter 2 2021 to 2022. I'm really intrigued to see what happens in 2023. But we know that a lot of people are living at their ends. They're making ends meet. They are really pushing themselves. And so I want to make sure when we're sitting down and we're talking credit, we're really talking about your budget. We're really talking about how you can still save for that retirement. We're still talking about all those other things. And I mean, I just feel like there's a secret just
There is a little bit
waiting
of a
to come
secret.
out.
There is a little bit of a secret. So, Mary isn't the only person that has met with Jazmine professionally about purchasing a home. So, at the end of the summer, I went to Jazmine's office and I sat with her. And I think one of the first things I said to you was, it might be funny that I'm here because I don't know anything. I don't know where I'm at. I don't even know if I think I said to you, am I on the right path? And at the end of our conversation, you said, you are at the end. Like you're not just
ready.
looking for the path. Like you're at the
here.
end. Like you're ready.
Yeah, you paid the admission. Go
Yes,
through the
I
gate,
paid
girl.
the admission. So I also know that one of the questions that you ask in your conversations with people is, what do you want your mortgage payment to be? And we'll work backwards.
Yeah.
So, and I think you were like, I know how much you can be pre-approved for, but tell me what you want your monthly payment to be. And that was super helpful for me. So obviously since the end of the summer, I have been looking for a home to purchase my first home.
We're going to make this the year.
And we're making it this year. Yeah, we're making it this year. But I did sort of have something in the works, but didn't pan out, but it had nothing to do with me or the mortgage or anything like that. But
some houses aren't ready to be loved by new owners.
Yeah. But with my conversation with you, it was what I pulled the most out of, and I've been talking about this since like September, whenever we met, was it's fine. Like the down payment, like I'm okay with the down payment. I have that. It's what happens after closing.
Yep.
Can I afford this mortgage payment? Like this is my firm. This is it. Like, because after meeting with you, and even when I was with you, we're like, okay, I have X amount of dollars saved. I have X, amount coming in.
And even how you choose to allocate them.
Yeah.
Down payment versus savings. And there was a couple homes that made sense for you living wise, but then it was like, okay, it's going to cost me this much to heat it, this much. These kind of considerations are important.
There are considerations that I had to start thinking about. I don't currently pay for heating at Mary and Sam's house. But that was the whole reason why I, sort of have been living with Mary and Sam, is because I'm going to buy a house.
You're saving for a house. And guys, there's no shame to any of those things. Like
No.
you're living with people. We are the generation of the move back home. Okay.
Yeah.
Millennials. I got statistics up. I've got them everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Just about how many people are moving back home. The cost of living is out of control. It's out of control.
Yeah.
Grocery costs are up 11.4%.
Yeah.
From
I know.
this
I
time
can't
last
eat
year.
eggs, but I hear they're up to like $7.99 or $8.99.
Yeah, I just got a small business loan to get an 18-pack. It was really good.
I was literally just trying to calculate in my head. I was like, what did I spend on groceries yesterday? Actually, what did I even buy? I didn't buy any meats. But I didn't even really buy any
You'll
produce.
notice that you're spending about the same amount, but you're getting less. Well, the same thing's happening with homes.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure you're positioning yourself with a good credit score. It's the base for everything, to make sure you're getting advantage to those lower interest rates, because your credit score is telling people your ability to repay. It is telling the financial picture of your past payment history. If you're not going to pay back your student loans, if you're not going to make timely payments to your auto loan, why would you make your payments for any other liability?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is some things when you're disputing it. There are some things when you're getting clarification. But then there's also the fact that we had to take responsibility for our credit.
Yeah.
We have to take responsibility for how that snapshot came to be. Did we just ignore it for 6 months and just go, well, that was going to report at some time, but I wasn't worried about it. Did we not know to ask for help? Did we not know when to restructure the debt?
Well, I've said this a million times on the show. It's so important to actually sit down in front of somebody and talk with them, talk with a professional about this. Because, like I said, I went into your office and I was like, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be here. Like, I don't know where I'm at, nothing. And you literally showed me step by step, like, no, like, this is, like, you've done the right thing.
Yeah.
So I have a little different of experience than Mary, but...
But you thought that your credit score wasn't going to be great.
Well, so because I was the person going online and looking at these websites, like, oh, that's my credit score. And then when I sat down with you, it was much higher, and I was like, but why?
And that's
I'm like, what?
It's
How
about
did this
where
work?
you look.
Where do you look, and who's sort of guiding you through? And I feel so bad for those people that were being taken advantage of. Yeah, and I know that I'm not being taken advantage of. You're not being taken advantage of when you work with Jazmine. It was,
and it's not a shameless plug.
Yeah.
It's the difference between caring and not caring. And the thing is, at my soul, I've come from some really, really deep roots. Like, you guys know, I lived in my car for some time. Like, where it says I put the shovel in the ground and I picked up the dirt myself, that is it. I care about housing so deeply. That's why I'm like yelling at this microphone. Yeah, my hands are going.
We want you to have a house.
Well, the thing is, it's you control your financial future when you own. When you rent, you're at someone else's subject. And so I just care about housing really deeply, and I think it's very important that we make sure that people have fair access to it.
Yeah.
So something that you just said, like you put shovel to the ground to kind of get to where you're at. I remember, and I've had this conversation pretty openly, how I grew up. And so, again, a reason that I was kind of in my head about my credit score, but how I grew up, home ownership wasn't necessarily like a goal of mine, right? It wasn't something that was shown to me. It wasn't something that like I really even aspired to. So sometimes it's easy to just run in fear away from that like financial responsibility, which at some point when I in my younger 20s, like that's what I was essentially doing. Be like, I'm never going to be a homeowner owner anyway, so what does it matter?
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Well, I felt the same way. I mean, I didn't grow up in a house that was owned. You know, I grew up renting, and it never was a thing for me. Like, I never thought that it could be a dream. And then, you know, with me doing this on my own, like I don't have a partner, and I'm like, no, there would not. How could one person ever afford to buy a house by themselves? Like, I don't know how people do it. Until I sat with you, and I was like, oh, you can do it. You're like, well,
it's all about what you're willing to sacrifice, what you're willing to put in, and what you're willing to accept. And it's in literally all of the regards. If you're willing to accept that 550 credit score, that's what you'll have.
Yeah.
One thing, so you, Mel, you were talking earlier about like you guys kind of backtracked when you sat down and met from the mortgage payment into, okay, we have the mortgage payment, but we also have the electricity costs, we have the gas costs, we have
So
TVs,
that was another thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
I don't think I finished my thought. Was, you know, I did have an accepted offer on a property in the beginning of December, and I ended up walking away. It within my right at the time, and
that's why you have home inspection.
Part of it, that's why you have home inspection. Walked away after home inspection, but that a little bit of time gave me the time to think. Okay, it's oil heat. Well, I've been hearing everybody, you know, saying all this oil costs and everything, and I'm like, okay, so maybe I don't want oil heat. I'm like, it was private water, and I'm like, oh, okay, so if I lose power, I'm never gonna be able to flush my toilet. I'm gonna have to get a generator, and it's like all these things running through my head, and I was like, I need to back away for a little bit, because, like I said, this is something that I'm purchasing on my own, and I can't turn to anybody and be like, oh, can you help me pay my mortgage? Like, that's why it was so important when you asked me, like, what do you want your mortgage payment to be? And that is my budget. Like, that is it.
Right.
And that's also taking into consideration everything else that goes into owning a home. You have to still save a little bit of money, because something might go in the middle of the night.
Yeah, rates are down, and it's not important.
Yeah.
Because it's all about your payment.
It's about
really
your payment.
not.
It really is. Yeah.
Well, so one thing while we're on the topic of credit scores, because like, so if you think about it in theory, right? So you're into a house, you're paying your mortgage payment, but times get hard, right? Are you going to choose between your mortgage payment? Or are you going to choose between your heat?
Yeah. And that is why right there, investment interest rates are higher, because if you come into hard times, you're paying your house that you live in, or that investment home. Sorry.
No. That's a good point. It's like, you need to have like a good credit history and good strategies for repayment before you ever get into that position, because again, who knows, like times are really good, but times can be tough too. So
and
you have to manage it.
So when we're talking to people about their credit, and this is I know we're getting close to the end.
I know, I want to give you enough time.
Seriously, like an hour. We need an hour show or an hour.
Well, we have an hour show on Saturdays.
I'll be there. Part two. You just need to make sure, like, before you're settling any collections, you need to make sure that the debt is actually yours, that your insurance has fully paid out what they're supposed to be paying out. And it can look confusing, but you can get a summary, because a lot of times it's medical, and that it's accurate, and that you still have some savings.
Yeah.
It's almost never better paying off your collection and leaving yourself broke before you buy a home.
Well, so my point on that was, you know, when I sat down with you, I did have a little bit of credit card debt. I thought it was, you know, a lot of credit card debt. And you're like, this is not, like, why were you embarrassed about this? And I was like, oh, I don't know, because it's my credit card debt.
I see hundreds of thousands of credit card debt.
I definitely did not have that. But what I said to you was, you know, I do have the cash to pay it off. Should I just pay it off? And you were like, you're purchasing a house, you got to have some of this money in your pocket. Like,
right, you can make that $25 payment.
Yeah, keep it.
Just keep your payment schedule, like your payments, the minimum, not even the minimum balance. You don't want to carry a high balance and get that interest rate. But if you're making your payment, it's, you know, and it's not going to affect your credit in the same way.
And there's math behind all of this. Whether you're trying to figure out, you know,
all math, people.
You know, I love the math. If you're trying to decide whether or not you take that initial interest rate offer to consolidate debt or not, there's some math behind it to tell you if it makes sense. Listen, we can talk about this all day.
Yep.
And I can talk about this individual one-on-one. But the big thing I want you to take from this, every single week, through the end of the year, annualcreditreport.com, you can get a free copy of your credit report. Take advantage of it. Not once, not twice this year. Set a reminder and look at it.
Yeah.
Manage your budget with that free report.
That's Jazmine's number one suggestion.
Takeaway.
Number one takeaway.
Look at your credit.
Give your contact information, Jazmine Glasgow.
Jazmine Glasgow, broker and co-owner of Maritime Mortgage. You can reach me on my cell, 774-240-4667, or team@maritimeloan.com.
Again, I know when I do this, people think like wrap it up, but that means say it
repeat
again.
it again. 774-240-4667. That's my cell, so feel free to call or text. And team, that's TEAM, @maritimeloan.com.
Yeah, we're gonna have all of your contact information on online too. So when we post it, so we have 90 seconds left. So if you want to listen to this show again tomorrow, maybe afternoon, it will be on talkrealestateroundtable.com or on your podcast app. We're sort of big like that. Okay, we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on all that stuff. So Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Jazmine, thank you so much for joining us.
It's always so fun to have you.
I
come
know
and
you're
join.
not even listening. You're not listening tonight. You're joining in the fun. I'm going to steal your pen.
Oh, thank you. I'll take this back.
All right. Well, thanks, Jazmine. Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, guys.
For coming on.
That was fun.
It was fun. So, and thank you, everybody, for listening, and everybody who watched us on Facebook. We'll be live on Saturday, right? Yeah, 10 to 11 on Saturday. So we'll catch you then.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.